Hey, how's it going there? Happy 2026. This is actually the first video I've done in the year. It's March, middle of March. And yeah, it's been a good winter and just had a lot of thoughts on my brain around creative direction and kind of just what's present and what I want to create. So I've kind of given myself a lot of time to kind of pull back and really think about what I want to do and the direction moving forward with my freelance business and my YouTube channel. And I imagine this video right here is going to be completely like on the fly. I did a little bit of organization, but whatever I talk about and it is going to be just, I'm just kind of doing it live, thinking on the spot. But it's my comic thoughts, and basically, I'm going to be sharing my comic, and I'm going to talk about it. So I'm not going to be drawing it live. I have another thing called Comics and Chill, where I kind of draw out an idea that hasn't been fully developed. But yeah, I think the general theme for me this year, maybe probably for a couple years, who knows, it's just going to kind of experiment and see where things go. Um, and I think YouTube is going to be a good place to do like kind of like do all my personal exploration and kind of like experimentation. And then I have my website at Navatta.com, which is more for business clients and stuff. And so that this will kind of feed into that. And then, if anyone sees this and wants to see more about what I do creatively for business, you can check that out. But like, you wouldn't have to, right? It's just kind of like going to be my personal space. And yeah, with that, um, yeah, this is going to be just experimental. So I think I said that word. And comic thoughts are just my thoughts on the comic. They may or may not be comical. They may be comical to me, not comical to you. It doesn't matter. That's really not the thing here. Oh yeah, and you may recognize this is not where I usually record a video. If you've seen any of my videos, not like I have a very large audience, but if any audience out there does see this, I'm just sitting in a different place because people are doing some work outside my window, and I was like, well, I'll just come over here in my little quiet corner. Got some photos up here. Yeah, this right here is me rowing a gondola, and this is a beach. Just a couple of personal photos, so they're not stock imagery or anything. They are real photographs from real life. But that's really not the important of this video. Let's get into this comic because I will say that I also learned that you could post comics from friends of mine. Um, they told me that I could use the community tab to post comics. So I think I'm going to put my comics on YouTube. I don't know if I'm going to do anything. I used to just put them on Instagram, but the real experience of Instagram was just kind of like, just didn't really seem like creatively home. It just kind of felt like putting things out and then closing the app, and that's it. Like, so I think I'm just going to, I may occasionally put some stuff there to kind of drive people to YouTube, but whoever's interested. But this is going to be the main spot where I'm going to do comic activity, I believe. Having said that, I am fluid with things, so let's see what happens. But let's get into it. Let's do comic thoughts. Episode 1, if this is an episode thing, I don't know. Could change. But let's go into the comic screen where there's going to be a comic, and then there's going to be my face to the right side of it. So let's do that right now. Ta-da! So here we go. That was very magical. I'm sure that you feel like you've been taken on a magical journey. And here we are. And we're sitting here with that screen there. Oh, wait. Yeah, this direction. Gotta get used to the camera. And it's basically says Comic Thoughts with Nick Navatta. And there is a lizard-like guy there who is actually the content of this comic I'm gonna take you through today. It's a 3-cell comic, and that's a Gila monster, and that's basically going to be the theme. So this is just a nice screen for you to transition into the next screen with me. So let's see the first cell of this comic. Here we go, and I'll just kind of walk you through. So here we have a Gila monster coming through the door, and the Gila monster, it's like a father figure, and a Gila Monster's son. And he says, okay, Mr. Too Cool for High School, your report card says the killer instinct to execute like a hungry Gila monster is missing. And he's holding a sheet that looks like a report card. Maybe I'll do something where I like highlight stuff with like a pen or something in the future, but for now I'll just talk. And he's got some good stuff going at the top of the report card and some bad stuff, like, basically he's just reporting out what was told to him. And then you have the high school aged, I'll just call him a teenager, Gila Monster, sitting kind of confidently and relaxed on the bed, smiling, in kind of contrast to the angry father who's concerned about his son's performance. And then you see some eggs in a nest next to him. If you know anything about Gila Monsters, they eat eggs. And then behind him, he's got a poster of one of the latest teenage crazes, Billy McGillicuddy. And it's a great musician in the Gila Monster world. So yeah, the reason I wanted to so let me get a little into this commentary. The reason I wanted to kind of talk about, though the comics are going to be the fun thing to reference, it's mostly going to be about real life that I'm going to talk about, or just kind of reference in tandem to the comic. And sometimes when I make these comics, like it's usually related to something I'm experiencing in my life currently, and I don't always set out to inject a certain theme into the comic. That just kind of happens naturally. It's more like I have an idea, and then I flesh the idea out, and then I start seeing how things that are happening in my life kind of plug into the idea. And I would kind of say, like, for the sake of this channel, like as I'm talking to people who are ideally want to talk to people who are creatives and trying to find their own path, their own way of doing things, or just anyone in business who's trying to do something creatively, trying to find their own path with something. This was kind of coming from like this idea, and kind of retrospect, like it's this idea of performance, right? It's that when the world creates rules, if you follow these rules in a very linear fashion, then you'll get this result. And usually success is this thing that's promised if you follow all these steps and these rules to get to these results. And so the father figure in this comic, the Father Gila Monster, is coming in as an ambassador of that sort of thinking, of that kind of societal scripting. He's basically saying, you really triggered something in me, son, because you're not living up to your standard. And this isn't like saying that obviously doing good in school is not a good thing. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, this is what the father is acting from this place of like, hey, you know what? Like, you're not going to get this I care, and you're not going to get this success if you don't follow these rules. And so he kind of feels threatened by the son's seemingly nonchalant attitude and response to his studies. And so in contrast, the teenage son, and now not to say that the teenager knows better in this sense, but like individuals with our own souls, like sometimes we there are pieces and parts of ourselves where we do know something better, like it's a piece of our identity that may not be seen or embraced by someone on the outside or by an adult. And so it's not like the teenager has this amazing authority and like usually teenagers think they know something, but they really don't. But then there's a piece that they know, and like in my own personal experience, it's like I can look back with my relationship with my dad, and like he knew certain things that like I'm starting to care about older and now, but not in the same way. It's like it has my own slant to it. And so anyway, back to the Gila, teenage Gila, he's sitting there almost as for me, it's more of like he's a representative of an adult version of me coming back to this teenage memory of myself or something like that. And he is confidently relaxed. And there's a reason why he's confidently relaxed. But we don't quite know what that is yet. Like we just know that he's got a certain air to him. It's probably going to trigger the dad a little bit more. He's on a bed, which is like symbolic of relaxation. Um, but you will notice his room is very tidy and clean. It is not chaotic and disordered. So there is some sort of possible creative authority that this guy has, this little young teenage Gila has, that the father doesn't quite know about yet. And yeah, so he's also kind of, if I were to like look at it symbolically, he's like a embodiment of kind of a more playful way. He's and in let's say in our world, like in relation to this idea that you must always be playing a role professionally or an adult role, and kind of like how that can cut off that creative flow and the creative energy that really brings you alive and actually has you have fun and enjoy the journey. And like it's like that overly serious clamping kind of control mechanism that like everybody's susceptible to it, and if you kind of play into it fully, like it's really hard to just relax and play and take it easy, because it's all about responsibility and following the rules and trying to be a good person and do everything right. And like that can really, like that is very much a linear kind of like, I'm going to go to A to B in life and then B to C and then C to D, like kind of like a linear script. And I'm kind of like putting this energy forward of like, hey, like, life and creativity doesn't have to be linear. Like you can find your own path and own way and own energy to kind of exist within. And from there, a path does unfold, and it's just as valid as a quote unquote like a linear accepted path. It's just very different. So yeah, I hope that's not too much talking there. I realize I'm going to be talking a little bit more, but hey, it's my channel. That's what this is for, right? You can listen or not. So that was the first cell of this. So again, he bursts in. He's upset. The son's chill. He's like, I want that hunger. I want to see that hunger. And he's like, I'm just chilling. So let's go to cell 2. So now we just zoom in, and the dad's not seen. We kind of get to see a close up of the teenage Gila. He says, oh yeah, I'll show you execution. And he's pointing at his dad, and he's biting an egg. And so if I were to, I don't know if this cell will have as much explaining in it. Maybe it will. I don't know. It's just not as much content in it. But more or less, he's starting to embody that joking, playful energy. But at the same time, he's showing his dad, he's demonstrating to him, hey, look, I can actually get results in a way too. And because, if you remember in the first cell, the dad had the report card, and it had like his little eggs were on it, and it had a cross through it, like he's not executing, at least in this realm. Like in this realm where we're telling him like, here's our pre-described path for you, and just jump through these hoops. And if you do, then you'll get this great grade. But he is showing that he has the ability to execute with hunger. But the thing is, it's like it's in his own way. It's not the way that the dad or the people at the Gila school. This is really hard to talk about a fantasy lizard school, but I'd love to go to that school. Let me tell you that much. So he's demonstrating, showing his dad that like, okay, there is some creative energy here. There is hunger here. It's almost like an invitation, like, are you going to see me for me? And of course you got all the things that show his laid back nature, nonchalant. He's got his backwards hat. His tongue is slack. And he's still on his bed. And I guess like if I were to think about execution personally, and I'll just kind of zoom out just a second, like in my own creative life, like it's almost like, it's kind of like, I've heard people talk about this, like, the idea of like, when you get really productive, you're going to wake up really early and do like this hard thing like at 5 o'clock a.m., right? And then like maybe you try that and then you're like, dude, this just does not feel good. Like I'm more tired than ever. Yeah, I got this done, but like I'm drained for the rest of my day. I'm kind of projecting my own experience on other things. And then, you know, as I let myself just come to this thing, let's say in contrast, I let myself come to this activity at 11:30 a.m. when my energy feels the highest, and then all of a sudden I don't crash and my day just goes better. So it's like execution doesn't have to happen in this kind of pre-described productivity kind of routine thing. It's like it's that creative living is not about following the suggested prescriptions. Some of them may work, or like as I've noticed, some of them naturally start to happen. Like example being for me, like, you know, I've read some, you know, like that Benjamin Franklin quote, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, wise, or something. Yeah, like I like going to bed early and I like waking up early, but that's because that's where my energy is the best, is in the morning. Like I'm not a person who wants to stay up late at night and work late at night. Like my energy does not come alive at night. It comes alive in the morning. So like there's ways that like my execution energy does naturally line up with like the way people think you should do things. So like, but like that's different than for me forcing myself to go to bed early and forcing myself to wake up early. Like I've kind of learned through the many years of creative life and just living in general, like to give myself space to be like, what works, you know, experiment. Like, let me see if this works or if that works. And where do I feel the most alive and stronger and happy? So it's really not like rocket science. It's just I'll just bump the rail though, hopefully that doesn't mess up the video. It's not rocket science. It's just like the giving yourself space and permission to like explore and see what works. And so I think this young Gila here is like an embodiment, and also like even that could change, right? Like I may get into a phase where it's like I want to get up at 4:30 and like I start setting my alarm and it feels exciting, and like maybe not exciting, but you know, like it feels like I'm generally like at peace and happy about the choice, and it's a natural kind of rhythm. So I'm kind of getting at like, for me personally, as I look at this character, this Gila, who also I want to know, like the Gila, like the lizard, is like, I think of something instinctual. He's like very close to the earth. They're cold-blooded, so like meaning like, you know, he's not, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but lizards in general are. And like it's not emotional, right? It's a natural aligning with his rhythm. It's not, there's no, it's like so cold and grounded. It's like he's just very structural in how he does thing, instinctual structural ability. I just made that up. That's a great phrase that I'll probably never use again. I'm sure somebody written something like that in a book or something. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I was on a path and I lost the path, and that's just how it happens. I think I was talking about just rolling with whatever arises instinctually, but anyway, you get the idea. Like he's and then he's showing the play through the play on words, you know, execution. So once again, I'm pulling a lot of words out of my hat where there may not have been a lot of words, but that's part of the fun of Comic Thoughts with Nick Navatta. But here comes the next cell and the final cell. And then I'll show you the video, the comic in whole, and then I'll post it on YouTube, and you can look at it if you care about it at all. All right, so here we go to cell 3. Drum roll, please. Death by guillotine. I'll be heading out now. Hopefully you get that. All right. So yeah, he said, I'll show you execution. So he's saying death by guillotine, or guillotine. Some people say guillotine, but some people say guillotine. Death by guillotine, and you see him, he swallowed the egg. It's going down in his stomach, and he's still chilling on the bed, and he's confidently showing, coherently showing, like, I found my way to execute that works for me. It works. And then the father, he's sitting in the look at me, I'm all proud of myself for making this comic. He's sitting there still with a little bit of trigger look on his face, but he's got his hand on the door, almost in a way conceding, like, I'll be heading out now. And if you know about a guillotine, that's about beheading. So he's basically, in a way, he's now come over to the young Gila's way, and he's not going to admit it quite yet, but he sees its value. And that's kind of why his play on word back, whether he said it intentionally or not, it could be that Freudian slip where he's like, he just meant to be saying, I'll be heading out now, but he basically said, I'll be heading out now, to say I'm now on your wavelength. I'm playing along with you. And so it's, in a way, kind of like we are now in the transformed world of both the teenage Gila and then the father Gila. And he's going to head out of the room, and he's dropped the subject of his performance. He sees his son has performed, and now this little young Gila is maybe going to teach him something. Maybe it's going to, he'll at least in this instance. There'll be other instances, I'm sure, where this father will be able to come and teach his Gila Monster son exactly something that he can't, find his way through the way he's finding it. So, Dad's probably going to go either head back to work or do something around the house, and he's just going to let it drop for now. And I think, what do I want to say about that? Trying to think, like, here it's like almost like the dad is me, and then this teenage part of myself is the teenager Gila. So there's this playful, lively piece of me. Okay, so it's maybe showing alignment, I guess, in a way. It's like trust. There's some trust here. It's a symbolic of trust. Like, okay, he has a way, he does get stuff done, and I'm on your wavelength now. We're on the same wavelength. You did hear me, but I'm maybe not as concerned about what the outside source is going to tell me about you than what I'm learning about you personally. And I think you'll figure out, and maybe you'll take my initial kind of like mainstream concern of like these good grades a little more seriously, or something like that. Like there's an unspoken trust here, and you gotta remember, I'm doing this live in the moment, projecting myself onto these characters, trying to kind of do some psychological storytelling. So not to say what I'm not saying is worthless. I think there's some good stuff here. But I'm being playful and also just kind of meandering. I want to think about what I'm thinking here. That's why this is interesting. A little coffee here. Okay, so maybe in a way, like for the dad, it's like the dad Gila. It's like maybe the son's teaching him something about like loosening up a little bit. He's like, okay, there's execution happening here, and what if I took some of that playful, like who gives a crap attitude, the nonchalant, and just let it wedge in a little bit into kind of my strict linear ways of performance. And maybe the dad will become a little bit more present in his own life or perform in a different way. And maybe he'll still have some of his productivity urges, but there'll be places where there's a lot of playfulness comes into it, and it becomes more integrated. And so, and this is maybe thinking like, you remember, I don't know if you ever heard this word, like to decide means to cut off. So like, in execution, you cut off someone's head. So it's like you're cutting off the head. Oh, okay, I didn't think about this. I'm just having these little realizations in the moment. You know how people say like they get stuck in their head? And I think, and it's like they lose that kind of like bodily presence or instinct or groundedness when they're all up in their head. So in a way, it's like me kind of having this, Nick, like having this like realization of my own growth of like, oh, I'm like learning to be more instinctual, more like in the body, out of the head, like cutting, not still, I'm still using the head, but more in a playful kind of like steering way, and not as like this serious like commander of like these very high stakes things that need to get done, and or life is just going to fall to pieces, which it never does, at least not for me personally. And in any time I've been overly serious, it's not like it changes things in some exponential way and blast off into some different realm. It's just like sometimes that's just how I feel, and that's how things work out. But yeah, I'm kind of having that realization on the fly here, like, oh yeah, this is like about like, you know, like that kind of deeper beingness and groundedness over just let me mentalize everything and intellectualize everything and try to control and map everything out linearly with my brain, which has a lot of great uses, I think, for awareness. Don't get me wrong, like I feel like I have that too, like when I journal or write something out. I think it helps me to know where things are at or what I care about, but the soul of something and the creative direction of something is different from like tasks, you know, like they're not disconnected, they're just kind of different sphere. Yeah, so you know, you're sitting with me here in this space as I'm just kind of thinking through. Yeah, and I think so ultimately is that on that point, like I think it's, you know, the integration of the wholeness of a personality that's creative and finding its way. Like it has a little bit of everything in it, right? It's got playfulness, flexibility. It also has order and structure and design, and it's kind of like that left brain, right brain kind of balance, right? Where everything, you need kind of like that whole picture to really be, like fully creative or fully yourself, or I'm speaking for myself. And like these characters, like I need the dad, but I just need that dad to be a little bit more chill. And I need the Gila teen inside, but like the Gila teen has to understand like there's something the dad cares, you know, it's like the kind of like the parts of yourselves. And I think generally they've agreed that like things are, we can get stuff done together, finding a middle ground of playfulness and execution. So I don't want to ramble on too much, but I think that was a fun exploration. Maybe not for you, but it was for me. That's okay. I'll get better at that. I know my videos aren't a roller coaster, but they could be valuable to someone who wants to sit here and burn 30 minutes of listening to something that could get them thinking. I know I do that with all kinds of YouTube content. I just put on videos and play it for 30-40 minutes and let it meander, I don't think that's the right word, sit there. But anyway, here's the I think the full comic here. Let's take this off. Oh yeah, here's the full comic. So there you go. You can see it like that, and I'll put it on my YouTube community section with a link to this video too, for people that find this through a community tab, which I don't imagine a lot of people will in the beginning. Maybe if I ever get a bigger channel, but it'll just be there. So thanks for watching Comic Thoughts with Nick Navatta, and this was the Gila Monster family extravaganza. Thanks so much. I appreciate it, and see you next time. Take it easy.